All right, Hotep family. I'm not too sure if you can hear me though, so I'm gonna just double check if I can be heard. All right. Okay. Okay, so I could be heard. All right. All right, so Hotep. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this, the Pan-African wisdom, Onitaset Kumat. Just in case, just until somebody has something else to say. In case when somebody else has something to say, we can obviously switch topics. But until then, we're going to go into Pan-African wisdom. Again, like I said, those who want to support the program in whatever way, you can do it this way. You can just get yourself a copy, and that should work out fine. Let me just double check again. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can just double check again, because I don't even know how it sounds. I'm trying a whole different audio setup. So. I can't tell if you guys hear echo all the time or just when I turn up my volume. So anyway, let me know if how the audio is coming out. But yeah, so this is it. We're gonna go into this. Let's see. We're gonna try to go to page I keep forgetting to do the math. We're gonna try to go to 20. All right, let's go 33. All right. So look, blameless means you did right. All right. And opposing wrong makes a right. So this was like one of the buttons I used to have. As you can see in the background, like all of them are kind of buttons, right? That I used to wear around or whatever, right? And here's a concept. Matter of fact, let's see if the one before this is even. Yeah, this is good too, but let's just go. Blameless means you did right. So what blameless means you did right means as an idea is that, you're not necessarily, it's not enough to just not do a bad thing to say that you're blameless. In order to be on the right side, you have to do the right thing. Okay? And way how you do the right thing is that you have to oppose wrong to make a right. Now, of course, this becomes complicated, as we know, because you're going to come into situations where the wrong and the right are two different things. I mean, sorry, where the wrong thing, where there's two wrongs in a sense, and you might say, well, if I go against both wrongs, then I'm right, as opposed to if I go against, one wrong, then I'm right, and I mean, that is a really complicated sort of thing, That's a really complicated sort of situation. But generally speaking, this is why, in a sense, what you want to do is you want to have your own nation. Like, as long as you're not in your own nation or organized efficiently in your own nation, you're going to be wrong. You're not doing enough to be right. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing enough to be right. And because you're not doing enough to be right, you can't necessarily say, oh, look at me, I'm blameless, I'm innocent. You know what I mean? You can't say the same thing as those who do organize on their own behalf can say. And that's really what it comes down to. That's what it boils down to. So definitely you have to think about opposing wrong to make a right. Let's say this. Okay, so this is Tulinde Ma'at, Tushinde Isfet. So this is actually an ancient African phrase, right? But of course I switched it up a little bit. But normally what you would see is defend Ma'at and defeat Isfet. And I didn't even know that defend and defeat were so close together in Swahili. So this is Swahili, Tulinde Ma'at, Tushinde Isfet. Right, I didn't even know they were so close together and like so close and like almost lyrically in Swahili, but you see that they are, and it's just something that we have to understand as a people, that You have to defend the balance and defeat the chaos. Okay? Defend your way and defeat their way, right? Defend reciprocity and defeat exploitation. You know, the object of you as a people is to defeat the exploitation of exploitation over you. You know what I'm saying? You want to defeat the exploitation over you, and the only way to do that, again, it comes back to not just power, but also it comes back to having your own nation, forming your own nation. And without that, what you're doing is, you know, pretty much nothing. And this is why, you know, for me, I'm telling people that if you're trying to organize as a race, right, you have to organize where you can acquire power. If power acquisition is not the object of your organization, then don't bother to organize. Okay? Don't bother to organize because it is never going to be enough. Power is the utmost object of organization. And without it, you know, just don't bother. Save your resources, save your time for another avenue, for another battle. You know, that's really, you know, that's really critical for us to fathom. You know. All right. All right. Let's see. What's the next one? Reciprocity, ma'at, is giving and receiving in comparable measure. Exploitation is taking an incomparable measure. So that's really, you know, a really great a really great summary of what it is that we have to be about. You know, what we have to be about, which is ma'at is about giving and receiving in comparable measure, right? And exploitation, and an isfet is exploitation, and that's taking it in comparable measure. So what I like even when I say this, you know, even when I say this, I say, hey, look, if you want to donate to the platform, right, then get a book. See what I'm saying? I say get a book. I don't say, you know, just give and then don't get anything in return. Of course, you might say, well, I'm getting, you know, audio, you know, but if everybody's getting the audio, right, if everybody's getting the videos, then you're not really getting anything more than anybody else. So you want to get something more, and that would be the book. You know, because I mean, technically the book is free, obviously, but you can just get something more, regardless. And even if you were to, and then you can give to someone else the book, and you get more for the same. You know, if you say, hey, I want to give $10, right? You get more than 10. You get more from giving $10 if you get a book in return. And then not just that, you can give the book to somebody else, right? Or you keep the book, whatever you want to do. But if you give the book to somebody else, then you still get more from your $10, in the sense that now more consciousness is getting up, more consciousness is awakening. So this is really what it's about. When you want to engage in political action, you have to be about reciprocity. And this is the same with anything. Reciprocity, ma'at, is the basis of our relationships. You know, the basis of a strong, healthy relationship is reciprocity. You know, it's saying, you know what, you give me what I want, and I'll give you what you want. You know, and that really would be, you know, what we have to strive for as a people. You know, what we have to strive for as a people is that reciprocity, is that ma'at. Let's keep going. So Eurasianism will always be a plight to Africans because Eurasianism is, in part, a war against Africanism. That is the law of Eurasianism. So the thing that we have to highlight is that for truth, in reality, right, at the basis, at the core of this white man's ways is a war against the black man. Okay? The white man is predispositioned against us. And because he's predispositioned against us, right, what you have is that you'll never be at peace with him. You know, you'll never be at peace with him because what he, like at the core of every people is their culture, their politics, their economics, right? At the core of them is that. And what happens is that Wazungu will always have a political economy and a culture different, right, from yours. And so, and different, and not just different, but what he will be comfortable with, you won't be. You know, so what he's comfortable with, let's say, is the beating of women, right? You're not comfortable with that, okay? What he's comfortable with is the exploitation of other people, right? You're not really comfortable with that, okay? Like you're not comfortable with being exploited, let's say, right? But he's comfortable with exploiting you, and because of that, you know, it behooves us to not, you know, take heed, take note, and be about something different. So let's keep going. See, I like these, man. So look here. This is really important right here. So for all of life's endeavors, the better organized, technologized, and strategized are victorious. For most of human history, the victors were African. This changed 6,000 years ago, and until the focus of Africans is organization, technology, and strategy, this change may be indefinite. Okay, so what does that mean? You know, so I think if you go to the Discord, so make sure you join the Discord. You can join the conversation on Discord. But when you're on Discord, what you do is, you'll see that I just changed my logo to organize, technologize, and strategize. You know, these are the fundamental things. You cannot, and see, the thing is that we always say organize, organize, organize. It's not just organize. You have to organize, you have to technologize, and you have to strategize. That means that you have to up your organization. You have to get hierarchy. You have to have ranks. You have to have structure among your people. If you don't have any structure, if you don't have any protocol, if you don't have any codes of conduct, in a sense, right? Like don't even call yourself organized. Don't even bother to engage others as if you were organized. Because the reality is that that's just an amorphous blob, and it's not going to be able to accomplish anything. You know, it's not going to be able to achieve anything. You know, and no matter how many times I would tell people this, they still, you know, kind of, oh my gosh, blah 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 blah. You know, so it's just a waste. Just throw it out, right? Technologize. Basically, you know, what that means is, you know, you have to have the technology to come against your enemies. You know, if you don't have the technology to come against your enemies, right, a lot of things are for naught. Okay? In the sense of this, the reality is, all right, like I'll give you an example, right? After Dr. King was killed, right, you can look inside of Assata Shakur's autobiography about this, right? After Dr. King was killed, everybody knew where to go in order to, you know, protest this, right? In order to complain, in order to express their outrage. Everybody knew where to go. So they all went there, and lo and behold, the person waiting for them was the white man. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like if the white man knows where you're going, then that's your problem. Now you might say, well, what's that got to do with technology? That sounds more like a strategy thing. It is a strategy thing. But what the white man was doing when he was there, after Dr. King was killed, was that the white man was driving around tanks, right? And the thing is that even if you're having some protest of whatever kind, and then you're faced up with a tank, right? If you don't have any technology that can undo a tank or outdo a tank, you messed up. Okay? You messed up. If that's the case, that you don't have anything that can come against a tank, then you done messed up. You're clearly the technological. You're technically the technological. Your technology just doesn't match up with it. You know, if you just got a bunch of rocks or whatever, you know, then there's not much you're doing in that situation. You know, and again, like I said, strategy. Now, if they already have the tanks there, you could locate to another area. You know, and they would just have to move those tanks, and you can locate to another area, and they could have to move those tanks, and then they have to spend a lot of money on fuel and so on and so forth. And you know, that's the state resources that's going to be drained in that sense. So you can You can't outdo tanks even if you don't have tanks. If you don't have the technology. Now, it's better to have the technology, but they're all the same. You know, because if you showed up with like mega tanks or something, right? Or if you showed up with bombers, right? Then it's a whole different story. Then their tanks will back down. Okay? But you didn't. So, but even so, you don't have to necessarily have the tanks, but you would need to have some sort of strategy, some sort of means of, okay, well, if this area is compromised, we'll go to this area, we'll go to this area, we'll go to this area, we'll split up this way, we'll fan out this way. But that right there is, you know, this is why there's three aspects to it, not just simply organized. Because again, you could be very organized. In fact, the people who were responding to Dr. King's situation were very organized. It's not a matter of being organized alone. It's about technology. It's about strategy. Therefore, you know, that's really like the crux of it. You know, of course, I like this. You know, there might not be too many people listening, but this is something I'm liking. And I'll tell you, everybody, you know, drop some likes. I know that it's only so far it's only one current listener, but drop some likes. All right, let's go to this. And let me know what you think. Come on, jump onto the podcast if you want. Let's see. Non-Africans are in a postmodern age, while we Africans are not even comparable to our pre-modern age. So what's really interesting is this. So this is something that you have to understand when it comes to technology too. So this is more of a technological and an organizational and a strategic mind frame, right? Somebody like Hannibal could like mobilize, I want to say, I'm just going to give you a rough number, right? We'll say, or even let's say Dessalines. Somebody like Dessalines can mobilize 40,000 soldiers, right? 40,000 armed soldiers, right? And this is during a time when the population of Haiti wasn't even that large, right? You can't organize no 40,000 armed soldiers. Okay, so that means that if somehow you were time travelers and you were, you know, let's say you said, look, we're going to try to fix up Haiti and blah, 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 we're going to change history, and you ended up being an enslaver of Haiti, let's say, right? They would beat you in a revolution. If you were to come as you are today. You know, you have to be, because the thing is this, the trouble is this, that if the white man is stronger than he was, because right now, for instance, let's say America or even China could organize 1 million soldiers, easy. 1 million super armed soldiers, heavily armed soldiers, right? Easy, right? So if they went back in time, they could definitely do some damage to like the whole African world, because they're doing damage to the African world right now. Well, not just that, but because they can do damage to their own people back in those days. We can't even do any. Like if Hannibal were to meet up with us, right? Hannibal could conquer us. We would be easily conquered by Hannibal. We would be easily conquered by Dessalines. We'd be easily, and that's an embarrassment. You know, that's an embarrassment. George Washington couldn't conquer, you know, like Obama's, you know, America. You know what I mean? You have to be comparable. You have to not be comparable. You have to outdo your own at least. Because if you can't outdo your own, like if you can't outdo your own past, right? Then if you've lost in the past, you will lose in the future as well. You understand? If you lost in the past and you're not doing better than your past, then you will lose in the future too. So that is why you have to do better than your own past. That's really something that I think that we as a people have to be critically considerate of. Right, so I'll say this again. So the non-Africans, so I probably should have said Eurasians at this point, but non-Africans have said, I can militarize better than Africans. And until that we deny them that reality, our reality will be pitiable. You know, at the end of the day, it really is about militarization. You know, because the world is run on warfare, you know, and because the world is run on warfare, if you do not militarize as well as the next man, then what you end up with is, if you don't militarize as well as the next man, what you end up with is they will run you over. Okay? They will run you over. So until we deny them the reality of who can better militarize, we will be run over. And the reality is that militarization isn't that difficult. the countries in this world were able to militarize very rapidly. Like the ones that are competing with the U.S. right now, like Russia and China, they were able to militarize very rapidly. You know, it just takes you doing the damn thing. Okay, it just takes you doing the damn thing. And if you're not willing to do the damn thing, which a lot of us aren't, then it's just whatever. So what can I say about that though? Like, because I know some people are like, well, you know what? Well, what about it? We're not doing well. Yeah, all right. So what you can do, if that's the case, then is peace, family. Twak Farzat. Peace. All right. What you can do is you want to organize. You want to organize a future. Like you want to get in Africa, get yourself a team, get yourself some people, and just organize something, political, economical, cultural, something, right? And with your excess resources, try to acquire, you know, more military power. Try to acquire more power. And when you do that, that's when you can, you know, advance as a people. All right? That's when you can advance as a people. So let's see. Let's go to the next one. This is, we as a people should keep it simple. Non-Africans live by might makes right. So that's it. The other people live by one rule, and that is might makes right. You know? When you're engaging them, like the reality is this, that even if you say, hey, you know what, you're not going to get any reparations because, you know, white people don't have no sort of feelings towards that kind of stuff, right? Even if you say that, the thing is this, that even when you say that, if might makes right, if you had the might, you'd make it right. When it comes to them, if you have the right, if you have the might, you'd make it right. You know, even when you were talking about the civil rights movement really, like, some white people were sympathetic to it. I'm not going to front, right? But it took those riots, it took those protests, it took that sort of activity for it to happen. You know, it wasn't going to happen until people stood up and said, you know, look, we have a little bit of might here. You know, we will threaten you just a little bit. You know what I mean? So might makes right, and that's really like something that you have to, like, you know, sit home about and think about. Like, how can I be a more mighty people? Nothing else. So let's see. As it stands today, many of our people are misleading our people. Many of us advocate solutions which do not add to our might, our power. So this is how it is. This is my critique or my criticism against a lot of the quote unquote Pan-African nationalists or quote unquote nationalists or quote unquote black nationalists, whatever you want to say. A lot of people in the conscious community do not advocate for solutions that add to our might, that add to our power, right? And because you're not advocating for something, because if Wazungu, right, only engages might, only engages power in a sense, right, then it stands to reason that if you are not organizing for power, you are not going to organize for any sort of influence against this Wazungu. And instead, you're just grifting. You know, you're just grifting with the kente cloth or something. You know, you're not necessarily doing what needs to be done if you are not, if you're not advocating for, if you're not adding power to us, you know. And like I've said, I've told you this, you know, you go to the main book, you know, the Book of Power, and you'll see Boko Waset Nakero, right? And what Boko Waset Nakero basically means is that you're going to get the educational facilities and the educational infrastructure for you to be a powerful people. You know, like without the educational infrastructure, it's hopeless. You know, it's hopeless. Like you need some people who are learned. You need some people who are learned in nation building, who are pursuing of nation building, to get you where you need to be. You know, and that's really what Boko Waset Nakeru would be. So let's go. The great irony of it all is that might is not only easily acquirable for a determined people. See that? But if Africans were truly self-determined, we could easily become the mightiest people once again. I want you to really try to understand that, right? Not only is might acquirable if you're determined, but if you were truly self-determined, you could be the most powerful people. This is why people want to keep you down. People want to keep you down because they know that you can become the most powerful people on the planet. And nobody wants you to be the most powerful people on the planet, because when you're the most powerful people on the planet, you get all the resources. Everybody bows to you. They don't want to bow to you. They want you to bow to them, right? So because of that, right? Because of that, you have to become self-determined. You have to be pursuant of self-determination, and it comes back to whether or not you're really serious about not just Boko Waset Nakeru, but organization, technology, and strategy. You know, and a lot of our people are not serious about these three things, or those six things. And because we're not serious about those six things, we're flunking. You know, we're flunking. We can be the mightiest people once again, but what we have to do is we have to be about that self-determination. If we're not about that self-determination, then forget it. Then forget it. You know? Let's forget it. Just forget it. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. So this set aside our differences. So this is really important. This set aside our differences, or let's pretend our corruptions won't put us at odds, is the perfect pitch towards being ineffectual in war. This is why I look. My thing is this. I don't even, like at my age, at my stage, I'm realizing that more and more, like, you can't engage with people who have these differences that they, like, there's an African proverb that goes, leave those in error who love their errors, right? If somebody loves their errors so much that they cannot humble themselves to be on your side in a real sense, you know, in a real sense, right? Then forget them. Block them. Throw them away. You know, like, and see, some of you were just like, wait, what? I mean, you have to realize this. Let me break it down to you this way, okay? Islam was the biggest religion in Europe at one point. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe not the biggest, but it was a large religion in Europe at one point, right? These white boys did a crusade to make sure that Christianity was the religion. Even witchcraft and Druidism and all that were big religions. These white people purified their country to be Christian. You understand? And now the religious differences in Europe are Christian differences. You know, oh, I'm Protestant, you're Catholic, okay, right? But even if you're Catholic, you know, even if you're Protestant, you bow down to the Pope. Okay, you bow down to the Pope. And if you don't, like I said, they go to war, they have holy wars, and they so on and so forth. The main thing I want to point out, though, is that they don't pretend that, like when they have this crusade, when they are focused against black folk, let's say, they are effective. Okay? When they're focused against black folk, they are effective. So you have to understand that as a group, what you want to do is you want to get rid of those of you who cannot put their religions, or they can't put their philosophical differences to the side. Like, if you cannot do that, now if you nominally do, if you say, you know what, I might be Christian, but I'm gonna just shut the fuck up about it in public, that's fine. That's fine. You're like, look, I might be Christian, but here's the thing too. It's like when we're in public and we're saying, we're like, oh, Armand, you delivered us forward, blah blah. That's it. You're not going to be all, well, assalamu alaikum, you know? You're not going to be all, in Jesus' name. If you do that, you're breaking everything apart. Okay? You have to publicly be about what we're about, or just don't be near us. Okay? Just don't be near us. And this is the thing that we don't seem to get as a people. We want to have multiple, like we want to have this diversity, and diversity is good to some extent. You know, to some degree, like you might say, well, what about ethnicities and so on and so forth? Diversity is good to some extent, obviously. But particularly when you're talking about Eurasian corruptions, no. No. Unless it has to do with organization, technology, or strategy, which is the only times that you can accept the Eurasian corruption, you know? No. Forget it. Because you're going to put us at odds. You're going to put us at odds. You know, because here's the thing, like I said, you know, let's say you say, well, what's so bad about Christianity, right? What's so bad about Christianity, right? Here's the thing. State resources will build facilities. Like the state, all right, here's all right, look at the real constitution. They will separate church from state, if you will, or they will keep church and state together. Who knows? But the point being that like when you're building a nation, you are building these religious institutions, these temples, and so on and so forth, right? If you're in a community and you're building churches next to the temples that we build, right? We're gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because now your land is being designated to a Eurasian belief system. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. And if you don't understand that some of the land is being given to another belief system or another faith, and this faith on top of this Christian faith, you have to understand, or just like the Islamic faith, they then have an outside influence. They have an outside outlook. You understand? Like for instance, the Muslims have to do this Hajj. They have to go all the way to Saudi Arabia. Now you're already compromising the whole situation because you're going out, you're taking some of our people, you know, some of our youth, you know, that you fed or whatever. You're taking some of our youth to go out to Saudi Arabia. And who knows what happens out there? We have no control. We have no power out there. Same with the Christian. Same with the Christian. Now, if you're doing the Pope says, oh, blah, blah, blah. You have your people looking up to this white boy. Come on. You can't have, it's like, look, if you want to do this Eurasian stuff, just stay in Eurasia. Just stay in Eurasia. Don't bother us. That's all I'm going to say. So let's see. It behooves us to call ourselves adults without doing the works of adults. It behooves us to say that we are about liberation if we refuse to do what it takes to liberate ourselves. You know? What does it take to liberate us? And again, like I said, it's sometimes, like at some point you have to realize that when we're talking about organizing, when we're talking about organization, part of what it takes to liberate yourself is to organize. It's to organize, and what organizing, again, like I said, organizing means having that hierarchy, having that structure, that superstructure in your own life. Taking those oaths. You haven't taken the oaths yet. Take those oaths. Okay? Be about it daily. Be about struggle or organizing or liberation daily. A lot of us ain't about it daily, you know? But you know, you have to be right here. This is one of the things that's really important too, right here. The community tax is a solution for the black race, but it needs to be done intelligently to be done effectively. The community tax, again, the community tax. What is that? Community tax is, look here, I'm gonna put aside 10% of my money. I'm gonna put aside 10% of my money, right? 10% of my dollars, okay? Towards black organization. This is why I don't even like, when people talk to me, I'm just like, look, man, we ain't even in an organization. Because if we were in an organization, one of us would be paying fees. One of us would be collecting the fees. You understand? But because none of us is collecting fees between each other, we're not an organization. Nobody works for you. You understand? We don't work for each other. You need to get yourself an organization, and you need to implement these taxes among them. And I would say these taxes got to be local. So if you, like I said, if you online, I'm not organizing with you because I'm not collecting fees from you online, or you're not collecting fees from me online. You have to. This is why I tell people you got to read through the literature. These are like, you should get this book. If you don't get the other Pan-African wisdom, you should get this book, because this one is the shorthand. Like, all of them are kind of the shorthand of the Book of Power, but this one is a shorthand from the quotes that I gave. And those are the more relevant, more important ones in a sense, right? Not necessarily more important, but this will give you a quick insight, a quick glance into wanting to organize for our people, right? Anyway, so what I would say about that is, hold on a second, what? Anyway, so what I would say about that is, you have to be about a community tax. You have to be about putting your money where your mouth is. If you're running your money and if you're running your mouth and you're not running your money, you're wasting everybody's damn time. And some of you might be like, well, what about money? I don't like money. That's fine. If you don't like money, that's fine. Okay? As the other brother said, just give it away then. No, I'm joking. No, if you don't like money, that's fine. But you have to contribute something to the community pot. You see? If you're not contributing anything to the community pot, then how do you expect to accomplish more than the next man? See, because let me say it this way. America, the United States of America, gets a community tax, a national tax, 30%. 30%. That's why what you do in the United States, like, even if you say, I'm not about America, nothing, blah, blah, right? When you're paying 30% of your resources to America, right? You giving it a lot. You're already giving it more than you giving black organizations, because you're giving black organizations 0%. And even at best, you would give black organizations 10%. But you ain't doing that. So if you're giving the white boy, every nation is an organization in a sense, right? So if you're giving the white organization 30% of your income, and you're giving the black organization 0% of your income, then who are you really about? Like, you're putting your money where your mouth is. If you're running your mouth, you're talking about, oh, black, 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 but you're running your money and it's all white, 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 white. Then where are your real loyalty? All right, now. Let's go. So, do you desire freedom enough to make leaders of your people, or is it only your enemy that will finance pamphlets, missionaries, community centers, ammunition, politicians, and business ventures? You know, that's a question that everybody has to ask themselves. Do you desire freedom enough to make leaders of your people, or is it only your enemies that will finance these? You know? Because you're not financing these. You're not financing these. The ammunition of that the Liberation Army is going to pay, that the Liberation Army is going to use, is going to be ammunition financed by our people. But if you're not participating in this financing, that's why you ain't shooting nothing. That's why you ain't shooting nothing. If you're not financing our politicians, that's why you don't have any politicians. You're not financing our business ventures. That's why you have no business ventures. Or that's why all the business ventures, all the businesses in America, most businesses in America, black businesses, are there to sell out to the white boy. And you know it to be true. You know, a lot of you outraged, oh man, why BET sold to a white man? Why not? Were you paying for it? Let's go to the next one. Black success stories being near exclusively in entertainment is the unspoken but subtle propaganda for black inferiority. As entertainers are an inferior position in a larger social order, this is partly why so-called black culture is strictly a do about entertainers. Let's tell it. Let's tell it like it is. You know, sometimes you say, oh man, why are these politicians, why are they getting interviewed by Cardi B? Why are they getting interviewed by Cardi B? Right? And then you say to yourself, oh, because why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Who else are they going to interview to get to you? You know, I've dated women from different parts of the intellectual spectrum, if you will, right? And a majority of them were like on Cardi B's Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't matter where you really locate yourself. You know, even when I go onto Twitter, you know, and I look at these fools like Tariq and whomever, right? Or even, you know, the entertainers like, you know, whoever's on there. I don't even know it myself. But when I'm on there and I look at who's following them, it's the same conscious people. It's the same conscious people following them. You know what I'm saying? It's the same conscious people following these black entertainers while also saying, you know, entertainers ain't shit. And some of the entertainers are obscure or they recent. They're not like, oh, you know, you following KRS-One. That's power. I feel that. You know, right? It's not like you following KRS-One or something. It's like you following like young whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or you following Megan Thee Stallion. You know, you this conscious brother, right? You following Megan Thee Stallion or something. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the issues with us, but we can't complain. We can't complain because even if you say, oh, well, yeah, you know, blah, 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 you ain't following the conscious people. You ain't following Oni. You ain't following, remember, Ani. You ain't following Idris Raffo. You ain't following Asari Motep. You ain't following, expounds to Mars. You ain't following Bit of Medicine. You ain't following these people. You ain't following that. You know? Not to the same extent as a people I'm talking. As a people. You know, you got Mary J. Blige, you know, millions of followers. You got, you know, at the end of the day, you can't complain that the entertainers are so dominant, so popular, when you yourself are making them popular. You know, you can blame other people, but look at your behavior. You know, it's Michael Jackson. You know, look at that, another entertainer. But Michael Jackson saying, "Look at the man in the mirror, or the woman in the mirror." You know, you know. But let's see. Stop discussing the confused in public spaces where your people are mostly confused. That's what it is. It's like, don't discuss the confused in the public spaces because your people are already confused. If I'm like, oh yeah, you know, Mary J. Blige, her position on politics, right? If I say that, right, I'm already done messed up. Because now my people are gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, we should look into what Mary J. Blige really said. You know, let me listen to the interview myself. You know, and then they spend 30 minutes listening to this interview by Mary J. Blige, talk about nothing, and then you wonder why they feel confused. You wonder what you did wrong. You know. Now, what you should do is you should be posting up other people's videos. You know, be like, oh, you know, here's what Asari Motep said. Asari Motep said, you know, when they listen to Asari Motep and they're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, oh, I got it. Huh? The business. I mean, every kingdom had to do with trade. You know, every kingdom has a relationship with trade. And now we see that trade and politics has, you know, that's deeper. But you ain't discussing that. I tell you, one time I did see, because what I just mentioned was actually a Asari Motep tweet. I was the only one who retweeted it. The only one. I got one retweet. And I was like, dang, this is deep. Right? Meanwhile, like I said, if Erykah Badu says, hey, fall back, you know, stop protesting. Right? Everybody and their mama talking about it. Hey, Erykah Badu, you're not our leader. Hey, Erykah Badu, you got some audacity. You know? She got 50,000 retweets. Right? Now Asari Motep said something deep. important, powerful, relevant. Erykah Badu said nothing, and she gets all the attention. And then you sit back and say, why would a politician meet up with Erykah Badu and not Assad Mutep? Because if Assad Mutep, if only one person listens to him versus a million, right? You're gonna go to the million. And if you're part of the million, instead of if you're part of the million on the wrong side, then you are standing in the wrong place. Keep going. Our people need to learn Pan-African nationalism. The best people for you to promote are the living Pan-African nationalists. Then the deceased. Okay? Now, I mean, obviously Garvey could be an exception, but the reality is that you have to look at the living and then the deceased. A lot of you just want to go to the deceased. The trouble with the deceased, I'm going to tell you this right now. The trouble with going to the deceased is this. They can't do anything for you anymore. If you're trying to build a black nation, right, you yourself take their wisdom, absolutely. But understand that they cannot help you build a black nation. Okay? And why can't they help you build a black nation? Because building a black nation requires leadership. Okay? Requires current, present leadership. If they are not present, right? If they are not present in that sense, then you might as well forget it. You might as well forget it in the sense that if they can't give you what you need. They can't suggest different ways or different pathways anymore. I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example because some people are not gonna get this, right? I'll give you an example. Matter of fact, look, let's say it this way, all right? You have 3 fighters, right, against 3 other fighters, right? Let's say, like simplistically, right? There's 3 types of fighting styles. Let's just simplify it, right? Let's say there's grappling, there's striking with the fist, and there's striking with the legs. Okay? Now we're gonna just pretend. We're gonna pretend, okay? We're gonna pretend that there's a rock, paper, scissors relationship with these. Okay? So we're gonna say striking with the legs, right, is better than striking with the hands. Okay? Right? So striking with the legs is better than striking with the hands, right? So grappling, we're gonna just pretend, but it's pretending, is going to be better than striking with the legs. Okay? And then fist strikes are going to be better than grappling. Okay? So you see a circular relationship, right? Now, here's the thing. Every fighter is going to have a different sort of, optimization, if you will, right? Like some people are going to be more heavy on kicks. Some people are going to be more heavy on strikes. People are going to be more heavy on grappling. Okay? If that's the case, like some people more on floor fighting, it'll be grappling, right? If that's the case, right? If you're up against 3 fighters and you have 3 fighters, right? You need someone, or basically to pit the one-on-ones such that you come out with 2 victories, right? It's a question of leadership. You understand? It's a question of leadership. It's a question, like, even if you had like a battle royale, if you will, or not battle royale, but like a team versus team, or 3 versus 3 at the same time, right? The way how they navigate on the fighting field, right, has to do with a strategy. You have to have a strategy involved. Especially if the teams were even. You could locate, you could isolate, or if you have one fighter who could take on 2 fighters for a moment, right? Then you could do a 2 versus 1 against the other person, and then you could go and reinforce the other people so make it 3 versus 2, and then a 3 versus 1, or even a 2 versus 1. It doesn't matter. The point being that you have to navigate a battlefield in such a way. Okay? That requires leadership. That requires presence. You can't say, you know what, Chad Williams, what do I do now? You know what I mean? Now, you can't be like a Assad Mutep, what do I do now? Because he's there. You can be like, hey, Oni, what would I do now? because he's there, right? Or because I'm there, right? But you can't say, okay, Chancellor Williams, or Martin Delaney. So what should I do? You know what I mean? Because he's not there, and that's just like in a combat sense. But even if you're saying, look, we have this nation, people are hungry, people need books for school, people need blah blah. What do? You can't legit ask anybody but the people who are living. Okay? Now some people might be like, well, yeah, you can ask the deceased. Okay. Well, I mean, when somebody else comes and tells you, oh, Martin Delaney said you should do this, right? It's up to you if you want to believe it. Okay? It's up to you whether you want to believe it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I've heard a lot of people lie about that. Okay? I've heard a lot of people lie about that. So just take, I'm spitting game to you. I'm spitting game to you. And that's really what it's about. Anyway, thanks so much. Hey, people, let me know how y'all liking this, I know y'all giving them likes, but let me know, give me some feedback. Dang, what did I just do? I just pressed the wrong button. What's going on? All right. Hold on a second. Yeah, give me some feedback. How's everyone, man? Y'all appreciate the book? All right, let's go. If you have a choice between going after an organized and armed group or an unorganized and unarmed group, you go after the unorganized and unarmed group. You see what I'm saying? This is the thing that everybody's doing. Like sometimes you would see something like, oh, an unarmed black person was killed. An unarmed black person was killed. And then you also see something like, hey, all these white boys were heavily armed, and these police didn't do nothing to do them. They're armed, and they're not doing anything against these people, right? And it's because the reality is this, that when you go through, one thing about life is that, especially when you're white, you're afraid to die. You are afraid to die, okay? So when it comes down to it, you are more willing to attack people who are unarmed and unprepared than you are to attack people who are armed and prepared. You understand? Like even when we talk about the situation that happened with, Breonna Taylor, which is a sad situation. But you have to understand that they had they did a no-knock and they busted in there to get the preemptive strike. So that, as opposed to, attacking, like if they believed that there was something there, right? As opposed to attacking during a time when they feel like people would be ready to counterattack. You understand? Like the main principle behind it is we're going to attack you when you're most vulnerable. You see? This is unfortunately it was a terrible strategy that did Breonna Taylor, killed Breonna Taylor. But this is a strategy at play with every people, is that you have to look after your own life. You have to look after your own life. But white people, they look after their own life, so they're not necessarily going after organized and armed groups over unorganized and unarmed groups. So you have to try to be an organized and armed group. It's very simple science. And even if you are an organized and armed group, you got to never go to sleep. Well, not never go to sleep, but you have to have shifts. You have to have, you have to have some sort of strategy involved with your well-being. You have to have lookouts. You have to have a whole communication network. If you're really trying to live in America, right? You're asking for a full-time soldiership. You're asking for a full-time war. You can't fall asleep. You understand? You can't fall asleep organizationally, and that's just the reality of life. Let's see. We're just gonna do maybe like one or two more. I mean, I love this. This is really good, but we're just gonna do one or two more. So the problem with Eurasians is Eurasians, and the solution for Africans is Africans. At the end of the day, this is how we have to look into it. We have to look into our being as the solution for our people, and we have to look at the Wazungu as the problem of our people. When you have that kind of scope, things become a lot more clear. But you know what? We're gonna cut it short. We're just gonna end it. I know you're loving this book. I'm loving this book, right? I want you see the link in the description. I want you to engage it yourself. Not just do I want you to engage it yourself. I want you to get some copies. You know, just $10, right? $10 US. You get some copies and you just give them out to our people, because these are some fundamental ideas, right? These are some fundamental ideas that anybody can adapt, and expand their life, expand their well-being, if you will. So you have to. I want you to do this and get it done. You know. But otherwise, you know, I appreciate everybody listening. I want to cut it short so that more people can, you know, like people are less intimidated by, you know, oh my gosh, it's 2 hours, you know, oh, it's 3 hours, you know, they say, oh, it's 55 minutes, I can do that. And hopefully, you know, we'll see what that does. But otherwise, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me for this week's Sunday African Warship. I hope you can join me next week, same time, same place. And otherwise, Shami M. Hotep.